Somewhere between Indianapolis and Richmond, every single car in the NASCAR Cup Series got a new piece of metal bolted to its nose. NASCAR never announced it. No press release. No memo. No headline. It just appeared. Did NASCAR quietly neutralize the fastest manufacturer in the sport, mid-season, without telling anyone? A secret parts change. Drivers speaking out on camera. A championship potentially altered in silence. The answer to that question arrives not this summer, but with the championship on the line. If you want real NASCAR stories that go deeper than the headlines, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Let's get into it. Toyota was the most dominant manufacturer of the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season, and the margin was not narrow. Conspiracy theories surrounded that dominance, most of them tied to the 23-11 racing lawsuit victory against NASCAR. Most serious observers dismissed those theories. The pattern resembled the normal cyclical run that manufacturers move through over time. Chevrolet complicated the picture further by debuting a brand new body for 2026 and spending months working through documented balance problems, effectively removing one of the three manufacturers from serious contention. That left Ford as the only realistic challenger to Toyota. But Ford was not close enough to seriously challenge for most of the season. So what changed? It started with a comment almost nobody caught. At the end of July, Mamba Smith appeared on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour and said something small, almost in passing, while discussing Team Penske and Joey Logano. I know there was like a little adjustment with the nose of the car with a splitter that they feel like might help their program out a little bit when it comes to downforce, said Smith. He followed it with a direct warning. Do not let Logano hang around. Fans latched on to one phrase across the internet, adjustment with the nose of the car. The Reddit community began digging. The Team Blaze social media account directed a question to Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports, asking whether he had insight into the comment and whether it involved helping Ford cars with downforce. Pockrass answered publicly, and his reply is the factual spine of this entire story. Starting with North Wilkesboro, the teams had to add some struts to the front of the splitter that should keep it from moving/deforming while at speed, tweeted Pockrass. He added the qualifier that defines the debate. Whether that was a significant advantage Toyota found is debatable in the garage. To understand why a part that small carries that much weight, you need to understand what a splitter actually does. The splitter is the flat panel extending forward along the bottom of the nose. It functions like a blade cutting through oncoming air and forces the front of the car downward toward the racing surface. Lower and flatter means more front grip through corners. Even tiny amounts of movement change how much downforce the car generates. A part that shifts under aerodynamic load is not the same part it was in the garage. This is where Dale Earnhardt Jr. supplied the detail that nobody else had placed on record. He described exactly what teams were doing. Before races, cars were elevated on jack stands with additional jacks placed under the front splitter, holding the splitter in a specific position to pass technical inspection. Then the car goes out and runs, and things move and twist and carry on, and the car kind of moves into what positions they want it to be in. The car passes inspection in one shape and races in another. Dale Jr. described this as teams making the car like a banana. NASCAR responded decisively. NASCAR stated that it would put a stop to it, said Dale Jr., explaining the reasoning, because we think some teams are doing it better than others, or maybe some manufacturers. The strut's small metal supports were mandated to brace and stabilize the splitter so it could not move under aerodynamic load, eliminating the ability to use flex as a performance tool entirely. The voices that followed carried real weight. Brad Keselowski responded publicly to the Pockrass explanation. This didn't really get any media play, but was a big deal IMO. That statement matters for two reasons. Keselowski finished inside the top 10 in both races immediately after the change. He was not a driver reaching for an excuse after a poor result. He is also both a driver and a team owner, placing him on both sides of the technical conversation simultaneously. Then came Richmond Raceway on August 15, 2026. Joey Logano won the Cookout 400, his second victory of the season. Jordan Bianca of The Athletic asked Logano about championship contention. Logano did not deflect. Some of the rules that have been changed recently, I think, helped us brought some of the guys that were taking advantage of some of that stuff more back towards us. A race winner on camera stating the competition lost something. Bianca later reported on the Teardown podcast that the team specifically linked to the technique were Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 Racing, both Toyota operations. The critical qualifier cannot be ignored. No team was found breaking any rule. NASCAR introduced the change as part of its ongoing effort to police how the cars performed. The previous splitter setup had been within the rules as written at the time. But Dale Jr. also introduced the simpler explanation. Are we just at racetracks where the advantage isn't quite as big? The post-strut schedule included North Wilkesboro, 0.625 miles, Richmond, 0.75 miles, and upcoming tracks like Loudon, Phoenix, and Martinsville, all historically Ford-friendly venues. Chase Briscoe made the same observation independently. There's a lot of short tracks coming up. We have to step our game up. And Toyota has not disappeared. At North Wilkesboro, Toyota held 4 of the top 6 positions, including 2nd through 4th. Denny Hamlin finished runner-up, extending his championship lead to 68 points. At Indianapolis, Toyota finished 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th, won by Corey Heim, the youngest Brickyard winner since Jeff Gordon in 1994. At Richmond, Chase Briscoe finished 2nd, Hamlin 5th, and Christopher Bell 7th. Ford improved. Logano led 323 of 450 laps at North Wilkesboro and won by 0.859 seconds. But both North Wilkesboro and Indianapolis are tracks where Ford has historically performed well. That ambiguity is exactly where this story lives. Dale Jr. offered the only real test available. Send these boys to 1.5 miles, then I'll be able to tell you a little bit more. He was specific. If you send them to 1.5 miles, where the Toyotas have just been really strong and the Fords are running up front, that's when I'm more inclined to think it's the change NASCAR made. The remaining regular season schedule does not resolve it. Loudon is not an intermediate track. Daytona is decided by drafting, fuel strategy, and timing, not aerodynamic advantage. The intermediate tracks live in the playoffs. Toyota built its entire 2026 season on intermediate track performance. If the struts neutralize that advantage, it will surface at the worst possible moment for the manufacturer. This pattern is not new in NASCAR. In 2018, teams were caught exploiting a flexing rear window on the number 4 car. Garage community discussions have documented crews attempting to stomp on splitters after rolling through inspection, with NASCAR progressively escalating penalties. The engineers on both sides are constantly working this line. No rule was broken here. The splitter setup was legal as written. NASCAR changed the rules because of what was happening, not because of a violation. It is not cheating in the traditional sense. It is exploiting ambiguity at the highest level, and it may have been worth an entire season's worth of manufacturer dominance. Here is what the facts confirm. A splitter strut mandate was quietly introduced at North Wilkesboro. Teams had been using flex behavior to gain aerodynamic advantage. No team was penalized. Toyota teams from JGR and 2311 were linked to the technique by credible reporting. Logano acknowledged it helped Ford on camera. Keselowski called it a big deal publicly. And Toyota has not collapsed. Results remain competitive. 2 possible truths exist. Either the struts meaningfully neutralized a Toyota-specific advantage, and the manufacturer race is now genuinely closer heading into the playoffs, or the schedule explains everything. Ford found real speed independently, and the struts were a minor corrective measure with minimal competitive impact. NASCAR never announced it. No press release. No memo. No headline. But inside the garage, everyone knew. And now so do you. If you've made it this far, this channel is brand new and every single like and subscription genuinely helps push this content to more NASCAR fans who deserve to know these stories. The goal is 2,000 subscribers. If this video gave you something real, please support by hitting like and subscribing. It means more than you know. When the playoff intermediate tracks arrive, this channel will be back to check the data and deliver a full verdict. Which camp are you in, the schedule theory or the strut theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.